So here's what's going to go down. If I hear you rambling, I might cut you off. If I hear you talking nonsense, I'm probably going to cut you off. But if I see the audience losing interest, I'm damn right I'm going to cut you off. Keep it on point, add value, and let's get right down to business.
How are you?
Kehoe,
nice to see you. How are you?
SVK.
That's me.
How's
things? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good.
Great.
How are you?
Okay. Hi. Hey, Tony. How are you? Hey, Brian.
Okay,
How's it going? Hello. Hi.
Hey,
nice to meet you, Tiffany. How are
See
you?
you all in a few minutes.
Hi. How are you? Good to see you, Tony.
Man-made.
Yeah. So what I think we'll do is I'll give like just a 60-second word of thanks, and I'll introduce myself, and then what I'll do is I will state the panel name. I'll mention each of your names, but really I think for an introduction, what I'll do is I will turn to the panel and let you introduce yourself for 60 seconds, who you are, what do you do, and who do you work for. So something very brief, and then once you go through each person, then I'll start with the questions. I think the questions we'll see how quickly we get through them. Everybody talks at a different rate. So I think I've maybe got 8 questions, which you guys all have now. If someone feels compelled to speak about one of those questions, then please just jump right in.
Welcome, welcome. Look at all you fine specimens of people, and thank you all so much. Really just a word of thanks, of gratitude to have me moderate this panel. I really appreciate everything that Token 2049 has done for the community, for Hong Kong, and for the ecosystem as a whole. I think we'll all agree it's been an excellent conference thus far. I'm going to be taking control of the moderation role for the next 30 minutes, so you're all in safe hands. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shane Kehoe. I'm the co-founder of SVK Crypto. SVK Crypto is a community-driven venture capital firm based out of the fine city of London. But it's not about me, our SVK Crypto. It's actually about the audience, you guys, giving value to the audience and also insight how ecosystems funds view the markets. Today's panel is entitled The War Chest of Ecosystem Funds. And as you can see, we have a wonderful lineup of talent, minds, and money. I have Tiffany from Ontology Global Capital, Tony from Neo Global Capital, Brian from Block One, and Mamet from Emergo, building a global Cardano. AKA, for you and me, the guys with all the money. So here's how this is going to go down. I need 3 things from you by way of an introduction. Your name, what you do, and who you do it for. And you all have approximately 60 seconds to get through that. Let's kick it off with Tiffany.
Sure. Hi guys, my name is Tiffany Lee from Ontology Global Capital. We are a venture capital fund under Ontology, and we invest exclusively in blockchain and crypto projects. Our mission is really to support the development of blockchain technology worldwide and to really drive real adoption of business applications within the entire ecosystem. And a little bit about myself, I come from a traditional VC background, have been investing in a lot of internet high growth projects since 2016, and I've been with Ontology Global Capital from the start.
Hi, my name is Brian Mailer. I'm with Block One's EOS VC team. I'm based here in Hong Kong. A little bit about me is I come from a PE background, previously in New York City, and been in Hong Kong for the past year. Block One's EOS VC team specializes in investing in companies that are building in on the EOSIO software or expanding the EOS community.
Hi, my name is Manmeet Singh. I am the CFO and CIO at Emergo. Emergo is the commercial venture arm for the Cardano ecosystem. We have a very basic remit. We focus on 2 objectives. 1, increased adoption of Cardano, and 2, driving value to ADA holders. So everything that we do has to fit one or two of those objectives at least. We have offices in Japan, in Singapore, in the US, in India, and we're expanding to other regions and countries as well.
Hi, this is Tony Gu. I'm the founding partner from New Global Capital. So what NGC is doing is Singapore Incorporated Fund, Venture Capital Fund. And we manage two funds. One is ecosystem fund for new. One is financial-driven fund. Previously I was from banking industry, so I was doing buyout fund. So I buy and sell banks, for many, many years. And I found it pretty boring. That's why I'm coming to crypto space. There's one, I would say, misunderstanding about NGC is that we do manage ecosystem fund for new, but we're actually helping many of our portfolio companies to develop and grow the ecosystem as well, including ontology actually. And I think many projects sitting downstairs have guessed some of my voice as well. So we're a kind of multi-chain ecosystem fund.
Okay, perfect. So here's what's going to go down. If I hear you rambling, I might cut you off. If I hear you talking nonsense, I'm probably going to cut you off. But if I see the audience losing interest, I'm damn right I'm going to cut you off. Keep it on point, add value, and let's get right down to business. In fact, it's going to be quite hard to stay in the game. So, what strengths do your ecosystem funds actually play? Maybe we're going to kick it off with you, Tony.
Yeah, as I said, it's more like multi-chain fund, so it really depends on which chain, what the strategy is, and we give specific advice, which is all we can do co-investment together with them. So I think one of the strengths we have is that it's very adaptive, right? So different chains should have different strategy in different region. You cannot have one strategy fits all kind of thing. It cannot be, I'm the next public chain for the world. I don't think that's true. Everyone has their strengths. So I think we are pretty clear about that, and we have a tailored strategy for each project. That's our strengths.
Got it. Tiffany, what's one strength that your fund actually plays?
Sure. With our close relationship with ontology and our close ties, the projects that we invest in, we provide catered incubation support depending on the particular needs of the project, whether that is technical assistance, that's BD, that's future fundraise, or marketing. It really depends on what the strengths and the weakness of our portfolio project, and we connect them to the right people and to the right resources.
Brian, from Block 1, what's your strengths that your fund plays?
Sure, I think our strength is definitely how we decentralize the money. As you know, we have 5 different funds set up around the world. Those satellite funds are able to reach expanded networks. And so that reach we have through those 5 funds, whether it's Galaxy Digital, SVK Crypto in London, we're able to tap into those networks and provide those resources when they come back to Block 1 and they want to sit down with our dev relations team, are able to help build out those projects and get them up and running faster.
Gotcha. Mehmet.
So somewhat, I guess, maybe a little bit differently, we're not actually structured as a fund. Emergo was there from the genesis of the Cardano project and the concept. So the way the Cardano project is structured, we have IOHK that's building out the protocol. We have Emergo that's doing the commercial and venture side of things, so the business angle to it. And then we have the foundation that's leading sort of a decentralized, governance structure on top of all this. Because we've been there from the beginning, it's not like we're a separate fund structure that's only there to invest in these projects. We are intimately linked with the foundation, with IOHK. We work very tightly together. We know where the protocol is headed, what's coming up, what's not. And that, in turn, allows us to sort of think of areas and applications and industries and so on where we think we can have some sort of impact. So then we work very tightly within our ecosystem to actually identify the right kinds of projects that, again, go back to the basic 2 principles: increase the adoption of Cardano and drive value to data holders.
I think communication and also having that view is very important when building this, because we're such at early stages, it's so nascent. And I think also the guys at Block 1 do a very good job from really down bottoms up approach and top down. Brian, with the considerable funds you have raised to date, where are you most focusing capital allocation, and most importantly, why?
Sure. So I think capital right now is being spent a lot into gaming. Gaming's an early adopter marketplace. There's a lot of the gamers are looking to build using blockchain, whether it's a collectible or non-fungible token. Those are definitely areas that there's going to be a lot of increase in utilization over the next few months. We've already made a couple of investments through the funds in companies like Mythical Games or High Fidelity. Those teams are led by leaders. And so I think that we've identified some strong leaders in the gaming space who've done it before in traditional games, and now they're looking to implement blockchain solutions to take them to the next step.
Tony, what about yourself? You've raised considerable funds. Where are you most focusing your capital allocation and why?
Yes, I think there's some commonalities among us, right? I think these things were focused on two areas. One is called digital economy, including games, and other digital economy, including videos, right? Digital content is one of the key focus. Another thing we are focusing on is financial services, which is either is relevant to crypto or which is relevant to the traditional financial markets by using blockchain as a tool. So these are the key focus areas for us for the moment.
Each ecosystem presents here has a challenge. The challenge also being an opportunity, and at SVK we love an opportunity. Each protocol has so many benefits to a wide variety of industries. How do you help support the projects you deploy capital into? And maybe I'll start with Mehmet. It may not be structured like a fund, but how do you have support for the projects that you invest into and almost cross-collateralize and help each project out and help themselves by doing so?
Sure. Okay. So if the project, for instance, is leveraging the Cardano protocol at this point or early in the near future and so on, then we have not only our own entire tech team that can actually help the developers there to integrate the protocol, as well as help them develop beyond just integration of the protocol across their entire tech stack. In terms of building a business out of it, see what I think a lot of people end up forgetting is you can integrate a protocol, but then at the end of the day, there's still an entire business to be built out of it. I've got 20 plus years of doing nothing but building businesses, investing in early stage companies, spent 15 years in China, 4 in Japan, now based out of Singapore. I am from India. So, this market, this ecosystem and so on, we have tremendous access, understanding, and a network with. And then we've gone ahead and also built an entire sort of network similar to the strengths we have here, both in Europe as well as in the US. So we're working with them in very similar fashion as a very sort of active VC would, who's taken an active, passionate interest in actually building the entire business. We're not looking at it purely as a tech play, use my tech, here's a check, right? That's very far from how we're looking.
Yeah.
So before we even accept, or let's say, before we invest in a project, I might spend a few months with the team actually sort of working with them and understanding them and getting to know what they're actually building, how they're going about it, to figure out what are all the elements where we can come in and genuinely add value beyond the check. Because the check is the easiest part, I think, for all of us. It's actually getting those businesses up, because what we need in the entire space right now is actual adoption.
I totally
right?
agree. At SVK Crypto, capital allocation is only one very small part of it. It's about the community. If you want to have adoption, you have to have that community layer. Brian, at Block One, how do you help and support projects that you deploy capital into?
Sure. I think the EOS community is ever growing, and so that's been a great component for us, is that we have a lot of meetups and a lot of engagement events that we're able to work one-on-one with these projects. So as you know, we did the EOS Global Hackathon. We hit 5 continents in 6 months, and from there we were able to bring our tech team, Dan and Brendan, and the other leaders of our company, and bring them to places that normally they wouldn't get the exposure to. And so this is 2 kids coming from a garage, building a great project, and they're able to sit down with Dan and Brendan and hash through their idea. And some of those teams actually went on the finale that we did in Cape Town, and we're still working on making investments. And we saw the value early on after the first event here in Hong Kong, where we had over 300 people, and we realized that we shouldn't let all these projects not go to delivery. So we actually redevised a project called Hack Pitch Launch, where we our first check in the door for these companies. So these are real projects, started off of the hackathon, teams came together, and we want to make sure that this actually gets delivered. And so I think that's a big change from traditional VC investing, where it's just a a check. This is nurturing from the start and getting them growing.
Can we see that to continue? Can we see a schedule of hackathons maybe next year? I know you're very busy building out and continuing to upgrade the EOS.io. I know that you were on a journey all the way around the world and you didn't stop for several months. Is it something that you want to do again this year, or do you think it'll be next year for the Global Hackathon?
Yeah, there's obviously work doing to plan that out, and our marketing team is pretty busy trying to figure out how they can make sure to engage everyone who didn't get a chance the first time.
Right. Tiffany, what about yourself? How do you help and support the projects that you deploy capital into?
Sure. So if you look at the Ontology Global Capital team, we all have come from a traditional VC space where we have entrepreneurial experiences in the past. So I agree with everyone here that writing the check is very easy. It is what you do after that. What we can offer them is, like, on the technical side, we leverage really on Ontology and our other portfolios to match and provide them and help them grow the ecosystem together. And that may include digital identity, layer 2 solutions, security audit, et cetera, and et cetera. And as a fund itself, we also do a lot of roadshows. So we started our roadshow this February, where we went to Harvard and also San Francisco, giving our portfolio a lot of exposure and help them to attract the right talent and make the right noise.
Yeah, I agree with all your points, and I think each of the panel attack it from a slightly different area depending on your skill set, but all very valid. In the recent bear market, have you seen any pullback in terms of developer engagement? Are new projects being built in your ecosystem, Tony?
I think the answer is yes. There is I'll say a pullback, but in a good way, meaning that we are focusing on things that work, right? Used to be some industry, which, let's say, very heavy link to the physical business industry, are not maybe easy for blockchain to be adopted. We'll probably cut back on that. We're going to more for easier industry to focus on. From that perspective, we are kind of rationalizing the effort.
Mehmet, in the recent bear market, have you seen any pullback in terms of developer engagement or new projects with regards to your ecosystem? Maybe not necessarily Cardano because it's early stages, but I'd like to kind of get your feel on where we're at with regards to market versus the tech build out.
No, I mean, I haven't experienced any sort of pullback in terms of new projects coming up or, entrepreneurs being excited about the space in blockchain and trying to figure out how they can solve certain problems, or enterprises looking at developing solutions, leveraging blockchain. I haven't seen that. What I have seen is an enforcement now in this bear market for both entrepreneurs and enterprises to think more deeply about exactly what value you can extract. It's not going to solve world hunger and world peace immediately. Therefore, what exact value are you looking to extract out of it, and to come up with, business plans and pitch decks and whatever have you, where you've actually thought about the business and not just thought about how quickly can I sell a white paper narrative, get a cash grab, list somewhere, flip, and move on with my life. So quality I think overall has improved. There's still a bunch of the scamsters and so on, but overall the quality has improved, but I haven't seen fallback in quantity.
At SVK Crypto, we really do love a bear market, and it probably comes from my time working at a hedge fund. I love to buy when everyone else is selling, and I feel that, especially over the last few days here at Token 2049 and Hong Kong Blockchain Week, the amount of quality people and quality projects that I've met has really been outstanding. It's been wonderful to see that. Not that I don't necessarily want to meet all projects. It's just refreshing to this time last year, we were just bombarded with projects, and we didn't invest in any project that we met here last year, and it's funny to say that 99.9% of those projects I haven't seen here this year. So I really think a flight to quality, and I love a bear market because you can actually network, build relationships, and make great investments at unbelievable valuations. So we really thrive in this type of market. Brian, in your case, have you seen any pullback in developer engagement or new projects with regards to EOS VC?
No, I think if anything, it's definitely a heads down build phase. So it's been the way for us for the past 6, 7 months, where we see teams usually coming from traditional marketplaces or traditional developing, and they're looking at blockchain and implementing it for like a reason that makes sense on a commercial level. So a lot of times they're looking to implement blockchain to remove a pain point or speed up a process, and it's been exciting for us because now we're seeing businesses that normally you wouldn't identify as being a blockchain solution or using a blockchain solution is definitely embracing it now. We're definitely behind the scenes. I've always said that blockchain should fade into the background, where you should be using a DApp on your phone or an application in any app store you're buying, and you don't know that it's blockchain. Rather you know that it's secure, it's fast transaction times, and you're able to have a lot of transparency. So I think building that trust between peer-to-peers is what's most important and what's been missing from traditional environments. So I wouldn't say there's been a decline at all in the developers. I would say there's actually an increase in developers that weren't originally part of the blockchain space.
I heard someone talking before I came in that there was a lot of projects migrating over from Ethereum to EOS. It's interesting what you can hear in the corridors in an event like this. And whoever's looking after the Twitter handle, feel free to quote me on that. I don't know the person's name, but if I find out, I'll let you know. What about yourself?
Sure, just to add a bit to Brian's point that I do agree that instead of a pullback, we actually see more interest coming from the development community. And from Ontology, we as a public blockchain are providing more and more support for these developers and these projects. For example, we're coming out with our incentive program at the end of the quarter, and we also have lending and borrowing programs that are coming out and trying to provide some financial support to help these projects and help these developers get their projects started.
When deploying capital into the space, where do you see the most value being accrued? Is it with equity or as a token investment? Maybe you'll start off on that, Tiffany.
Sure. I think there's definitely a clear trend towards more equity investment. Everything was very simple before last year. A 2-pager SAF, and then token was transferred, and that was it. But right now, we definitely see more interest in equity, especially with a lot of reverse ICOs. They already have a very clear business model, and if they have a revenue stream, then it's very important for investors to share part of that, revenue or future profit.
Ryan, what about you?
Sure. So Block One's ESVC program, as well as the satellite funds, all make equity investments. Those equity investments we feel are very important because we invest. We've made investments from early stage seed companies all the way up to Series D. So such as an investment in High Fidelity, led by Phil Rosedale, that's a company that's in a large growth phase. They've already done several rounds of fundraising, and we're looking to expand their offices in Seattle and bring on more people. But then also on the converse side of that, we have very early stage companies where it's an idea. It's two people who've come together. They started building their team. They just need that initial capital injection to start their business. So we feel that equity investments allow us to invest across the full spectrum and help teams at all different levels get to delivery.
Mehmet, yourself, sir.
Yeah, so if we're talking about early stage businesses, then I am taking that same early stage risk as any VC or anybody else out there. So my interest and everything have to be fully aligned with the founders, and that comes out of the equity. Now, if we're talking about more mature businesses, more mature teams, or those that already have a well-developed business model or something that now they're looking at scaling further, in those scenarios, it might not necessarily have to be equity, but it would have to be some form of security token or a security that is linked. My rewards are linked to the economic performance of the business in some shape or form. So we are proponents of the STO wave or whatever you want to call it, but yeah, lots of steps to figure out.
Let's get to my last question because I can see that our time is almost coming to an end, and it's a really important question. Let's look towards the future. We love the future at SVK Crypto. In your view, what does it hold, and how is your ecosystem prepared? What are you all doing today for the future of tomorrow? Maybe you'll kick it off, Tony.
As you know, just to summarize in one word, which is adoption. If you are thinking about this, if less than 100 million or even 1 billion people are using blockchain, it doesn't matter which chain they're using. I don't think this industry have a future, right? So we should all work together to have a global adoption as much as possible. It doesn't matter which chain it's on.
Mehmet, what is your future looking like? How is your ecosystem prepared? What are you doing today for the future of tomorrow?
So sure. So apart from our regular sort of investment kind of business, I mean, we recently launched two other things. So we launched an accelerator program starting in New York called D-Lab, and this is in partnership with sUSV, which is a $550 million fund of funds that literally just does accelerators all over the world. And this is a blockchain-focused accelerator where we're not even 100% forcing anybody, hey, you got to build on Cardano to come into it. We're trying to seed and work actively with early-stage entrepreneurs who are genuinely leveraging blockchain and could be building something, the next big unicorn. Simultaneously, as an investor, one of the biggest challenges we faced is even after you write the check, the first question, I don't know how you guys feel, but the first question that everybody asks is, okay, now I need this talent and that talent, I don't know where to find it. So a few weeks ago, we just launched an education program in India, which is also blockchain agnostic. We're going to be training about 2,500 students in the first 12 months in partnerships with several hundred universities in India on blockchain skills and bringing them into the ecosystem for everybody, right? So these are two plays from our end to kind of build that adoption down the road for the entire ecosystem, not just us.
I think everyone in the room will agree. We've got a lot of respect for that, going right back to the grassroots and getting children, getting kids, getting students involved, and looking at it from a blockchain agnostic. I think it benefits all. Brian, the future, what does it look like? What are you doing today for the future of tomorrow?
Sure. I would definitely say that our focus for the future is that I think we all agree that mass adoption is what everyone's looking for, and we know that in order to have mass adoption, you have to have mass utilization. So we need to make sure that the pieces and the extra add-ons to the network are there. So when a company's building a great solution to do ticketing or to do car rentals, that they have a KYC provider, that they have an onboarding for fiat to crypto, they have an offboarding of crypto to fiat. So all those extra components don't need to be built by every team. We don't need their replication. So rather, we're looking to make sure that we are investing behind those great components, the add-ons onto the network and onto the dApp. So we know that we need to make a full ecosystem, and so when that full ecosystem is built, you're able to have those great products. And so that's taking definitely a page out of other people's rule books from years past on how you build an ecosystem, whether it's a web browser or something, that we know that we need to have those add-ons or we're not going to have a great ecosystem. So the rails have been laid, we built the blockchain, the community's taken it, and the next thing we need to do is have the end users, everyone here and everyone at home, actually using those dApps. And so we know in order to get there, we have to keep building the components onto the system.
Very interesting. Tiffany.
I'll keep it very simple. We think it's very important at this time to really settle down, attract good talent, build product, and also invest in good projects that will help to grow the entire blockchain ecosystem.
You know, it's wonderful to hear each of you talk with your own initiatives. And when you look at them, they're actually all quite different, but all very important. And I think by having a combination of that, it's the only way that we are going to do something today for tomorrow's future. So maybe you'll all join me in thanking our wonderful panel that executed so well. Thank you so much. A big round of applause for all the panelists for today. Thank you so much. We're done.
Were you the moderator?
Yes.
That was great.
Really? You liked it?
Yeah, I like that style. You know, basically, like people asking the question in a very polite way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, please stop it. That was great.
But let's get right down to business. Panel were really good. I was very lucky. The panel were really good.
Really good, yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah, you
Okay.
kept it very good.
Okay.
Because it's very like the moderator of
Yeah, drives it.
Yeah.
I've just finished speaking, moderating a panel on ecosystem funds. Really interested to see what you thought.
It was amazing. And one of the reasons it was amazing, because it was impactful. And I think that a mistake a lot of people made today, especially moderators and panelists as well, this is very boring, it's very drony, it was like the same, and the same, and the same, and the same. And it's boring. Like people's attention span is pretty small. Like especially in crypto, things move so fast, it's so quick. Why wouldn't you make your panel the same?
Well, actually, I got through 7 questions. I ended on what does the future look like and what are you doing today to make that future a reality? I thought that was a really nice question, and I think that might have actually been one of your questions that you came up with, so kudos to you on that. I also went through the panel to say, hey, if you start losing interest, you start talking nonsense, or you go off topic, I'm pretty much going to cut you off. You got to stay in the game. You got to add value to the audience. Did that come true? Did that sound okay?
That sounded great. And I think you did a really good job of making that very clear. It was fun, it was engaging, especially from an audience point of view. But one thing you did really well was you made people feel comfortable to talk and to share their views and where they see things going in the future as well. And that's a real key.
I thought that everybody spoke well. We had Block One, we had Neo, we had Ontology, and we had Cardano. I mean, 4 heavyweights in the industry. Oh, and by the way, not to mention SVK Crypto, whose name definitely got a feature throughout the proceeding. Yeah, I think everybody spoke very well, and I kept it to the time. I think there was value add on it, and it just shows you when you really prepare for a panel like that, you can really nail it, and that's where I'm going after. Really getting up, adding value, having some fun with it, but there's a real serious side. Like, they are the guys with all the money. They are the guys that are making the big decision. And when I asked each and every one of them what they were doing for the future, each and every one of them had a different reply, which means really nice. When you have the sum of all parts coming together, it shows you that it is much more a collaborative effort, and the total of the 4 panelists actually combined is far greater. So really happy with that panel, really enjoyed it, really loved it. And I think now my duties are done. I'm starting to feel a lot better.
Your duties are never done. Like,
my work is never done.
The work is never done. We have so much more to do, and we're going to be coming back to Hong Kong. This is an ever-growing relationship we have with this beautiful city.
Right.
That is Hong Kong.
Right.
So many great people here, so many great connections that we've made, and we're just getting started.
We're just getting started.
It's like, this is not the end. This is really the beginning of something very exciting. It's something that I've left this conference, this experience away with, is how important it is to keep connected to people.
Oh, listen, that's for sure. That's key, that's a given. Well, we got some meetings to go to now, and there's some other people that I said I would see as well before they leave, and I think there's going to be drinks in a little while, so I think what we're going to do now is just continue on networking. So let's get ahead and do that right now. So let's go.